Hi, welcome to Living with Asperger's, a series dedicated to talking about Asperger's syndrome because not enough people do it. And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Not a lot of people understand what Asperger's syndrome is. But what is Asperger's syndrome? Well, the first question should be, what's it like living with Asperger's syndrome? People know what Asperger's syndrome is, but they don't know what it's like living with it. And the reality is, living with Asperger's syndrome can be terrifying. I've had many moments where I've gotten so depressed that I've considered committing suicide, but that's all behind me now because I have made it past my adulthood. I didn't even think I'd make it this far, but here I am anyway. So obviously one of the big questions that we're going to answer here is, what is my story like? And I'm talking about my story because each individual case is different based off of the environment and a bunch of other factors that go into it. So my story starts way back in elementary school when I was in the second grade and we had just moved into Colorado. I was in a brand new school with a bunch of brand new people and I had no idea what I was doing. But something kind of weird happened. The teacher started noticing that my behavior was a little bit odd. Specifically that I wasn't necessarily fitting in with the other students. And that kind of triggered them to get a psychological evaluation on me to see what exactly was wrong with me. So, I went in, took the evaluation, and it turned out I had Asperger's syndrome. I didn't figure out I had Asperger's until I was about 9, though. So, there was about a 3-year period where I did make a few friends, and I was seen as the smartest kid in school, I just was not fitting in as much as I should have. And then things got really bad. When I was in middle school, I was bullied a lot. I was bullied so much, in fact, that I almost committed suicide. Now, luckily, I got past that, and I'm not going to talk about middle school anymore because it's actually kind of depressing. But then I skipped on to high school, and high school is where I learned that the education system doesn't exactly work for people with Asperger's syndrome. In fact, if you ask me, the education system is an utter piece of shit and it needs to be fixed. Because not everyone is perfect, and when you're talking about people with Asperger's syndrome, it's like asking a fish to climb a tree. Sometimes it is not going to work. Now, the weird thing about schooling in Asperger's syndrome is that people with Asperger's syndrome seem to obsess over one specific subject. For me, back then, it was writing, so I did really well in my writing classes, but not very well in everything else. And this actually kind of helped me out a little bit. Turns out I only needed that one last reading credit to graduate high school. And then I got into college, and that's where I realized that maybe I shouldn't be in school anymore. And the reason why is fairly simple. No matter what I seem to do, I always seem to get fairly bad grades. Now, don't get me wrong. Trust me, living with Asperger's syndrome is very hard, but it can be really fun too. You know, being able to edit videos and do stuff like this for a living would be an amazing job for me. And right now I'm working as a cart pusher at Target and I'm losing a ton of weight because of it. And the reality is, that's how life with Asperger's syndrome is. It's an emotional roller coaster, if you will. There's a lot of highs and a lot of low points. But, you know, people need to understand that Asperger's syndrome is not one homogeneous disorder. It's not one... There isn't one classification for it. Some people have really, really bad autism, which is what Asperger's lands on the spectrum of diseases. Autistic spectrum disorder is much more advanced than this, and I'll talk about that in a later video. But right now, we're talking about me, because I am apparently a narcissist now. It's sad because I don't fully understand what Asperger's syndrome actually is. And I'm going to try to do my best on this channel to explain it. But for right now, what is your story? What has life with Asperger's been like for you, the viewer? Due to the fact that there are so many cases out there, I can't speak for anyone except for myself. So don't think of me as being narcissistic, just think of me as being a kid that wants to get his story out on the internet. And also, leave ideas for future videos. There's so much to talk about on this subject that I don't know exactly what to talk about. So once again, thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, hit that like and that subscribe button, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.